Rivian introduced their first electric vehicle last year, the Rivian R1T fully electric pickup truck. Now, despite wanting to drive one of these last year when they first came out, we didn't really get the chance because they're prioritizing customer deliveries and they don't have a huge fleet around the country. So I'm here outside of Los Angeles, California, near their headquarters in Venice Beach, and they set me up with this, which is a 2023 Rivian R1T Adventure. This is Out Motorsports. My name is Jake, and let's get into it. This is the Rivian R1T Adventure, so this is a more fully loaded model, and this is a quad motor truck, so it's got one motor at each of the four wheels. Now, those all combine with the Rivian's battery pack to produce 835 horsepower and 908 pound-feet of torque. That is a lot. It is really fast off the line. Battery range on these can vary because there's 3 different battery packs you can order. This one is the large pack, which is the middle of the range, and thanks to a recent software update, Rivian says this is good for about 330 miles. There is going to be an extended range pack that they say is good for about 400 miles, but I don't believe it's out yet, so this is what you can get for now. Now, there's a lot to talk about, but I want to get just straight into how this thing drives on the street, and then you'll notice we're here in a beautiful off-road park, and we will, of course, talk about how it is to off-road as well. All right, so let's talk about driving the 2023 Rivian R1T. And you'll notice I'm doing this on roads where you're probably not going to drive often in your Rivian R1T. And if you do, you're probably not going to drive quite like this. And I'm going to apologize for all of the noise in the background because I have a suitcase in the gear tunnel and I have a backpack behind me. And it's all flying around because I am so comfortable flinging this truck through the corners on this canyon road. It is just easy, and that is no small feat for Rivian because this thing weighs about 7,000 pounds. So let's talk about some of the details here. So obviously handling is the big impressive moment where the suspension is so well sorted. You've got 2 different settings here for the ride comfort and the stiffness. You've got a soft and a stiff. I think soft is too soft even on the street. It could use a little bit more compression control where it would handle big bumps and expansion joints just a touch better. You feel the weight when it doesn't really catch itself quite as well as it could. And then stiff is a little too stiff for things like highways, but on roads like this where I'm in stiff, it has everything just so nicely controlled. Really minimal body roll, easy to drive quickly, and that is paired to some pretty decent steering for a pickup truck where you've got nice weight, nice heft, decent feel. You do know where the wheels are. It's all fairly predictable and fairly easy. And if you really throw it into a corner, all you have to do is one pedal, modulate, and it'll just fly. It is so easy to make it pivot. If you're going out of a tighter turn, that's where you really run into some small issues where you can just tell the wheelbase is pretty long for what you're trying to do. It's trying to put all that power and torque down, and you get a little pogo sticky effect because the wheelbase is so long and you're mid-corner like this. This is a perfect example where it'll do it, and sometimes you can catch it off guard. You can hear the tires squeal a little bit. I'm on the 22-inch sport wheels with a highway tire, and they make some noise. They're really predictable, easy breakaway when they do, and this truck right now I'm in sport mode. The traction control will let you play a little bit and have some fun, but it will also rein you in. But this is just astoundingly easy to drive this quickly. Power and torque are, of course, no problem. That's not something I would expect to be a problem, given this being the quad motor and all that. But this is just like truly, my mind is blown with the ease of how you can just be a complete idiot behind the wheel, and it just takes it and says, "Okay, let's keep going." So very, very, very impressive there. As far as some other more general things going on when you're driving on the highway and all that, the user interface in here is all touch-based except for window switches and the hazard button, really. It is fine. I think it's fairly easy to learn and figure out. I wouldn't say I love it. I really prefer physical controls. This is a little too Tesla-y for me, but largely it's easy enough to deal with. I want buttons. That's just who I am. But they've done a nice job with it. The sound system in here is by Meridian. It is excellent. I am very happy with it. The sound stage is a little rearward for my taste, but again, very, very good. And the seats are pretty comfy. They're good for tall people. I'm 6'1", for those who aren't aware, and these seats have enough thigh cushion where I've got good thigh support, and that is always very important. So really appreciate the seats. They're heated and ventilated in this model. And you know, you've got a wireless charger here, you've got some clever storage going on. The cleverness of this truck is really its biggest thing, on top of the handling being kind of the party trick surprise. But you've got the gear tunnel where I've got my suitcase currently banging around. You've got plenty of storage in the armrest and between the seats and in the doors and the door pockets. And, you know, you've got the under bed trunk if you don't have the spare tire. That's a ton of room as well. It's just plenty of space. It's a really clever use of a pickup truck and a reimagination of what a pickup truck could be. So really big kudos to Rivian in general for what they've done here. I've had good experiences with phone as a key. I've had good experience with the charging and charging speed. I've seen, you know, over 200 kilowatts of charging speed, which is partially dependent on the truck and partially dependent on the charger. So that's been nice and easy. And the range has been fantastic. They pushed an over-the-air update right before I got this truck that added roughly 20 miles to all of the range across the board of all the trim levels. So this one is claiming in the conserve mode it will do up to 330 miles on a charge, which is pretty great. So I'm seeing that if we check our trip meter, it is claiming that I am averaging 2.02 miles per kilowatt hour, which includes a lot of this kind of driving and then higher speed highway driving. I'm here in California, and highway speeds are faster than is really reasonable for an EV to achieve its best economy settings. So I think if you were driving somewhere else where people don't go 80 as the norm and 90 as the passing speed, this would probably do a little bit better as far as efficiency is concerned. Now we are going to head over to a small off-road park and talk about how this Rivian is to off-road with, because that is the other piece of the puzzle. But in general, this is just such an impressive effort from Rivian. And you know, the really big thing to think about here, this is their first car. This is not like they've been doing this for 10 or 20 years. This is the one they came out of the gate with, and it is this good. It makes me really excited for what's next. This is, of course, something that would fit a lot of people's needs. You don't need a half-ton truck. And it's just really, really nice. All right, so let's talk about off-roading the Rivian R1T. So we're here at this off-highway park, playground, whatever you want to call it, and here with a couple friends, one of which is driving a Lexus LX 450, and the other of which is driving a Chevy Silverado ZR2. Now, the ZR2 is my friend David from the Autopian, who is A, insane, and B, pretty good at off-roading. So he has been going further up the trail where it's really, really steep. We're not doing that in this because this is on highway tires, not the optional all-terrains. But we came up a fairly large hill that I was really nervous wasn't gonna happen, because I have not done this extreme of off-roading with big grades and things really ever. But the Rivian was really impressive. It has a rock crawl mode as far as one of its off-road drive modes, and this being a quad motor, the really cool thing is it can apportion power wheel by wheel. The slight downside is you have to start getting a little bit of wheel slip to make it happen. You can't have like mechanical locking. That's just not how it works. But in any case, really, really easy. Just kept steady throttle. The nice thing is in the rock crawl mode, it kind of dulls the throttle pedal so that you're not applying a ton of like jerky power if you're trying to be really smooth. You also have a hill hold function, so if you get off the throttle pedal, it will just hold you and don't roll back at all, so that's nice. Now going down this hill, I've got the cameras set up, so there's a big camera view looking ahead through the nose, so I can see where Noah is and where the trail is. And then it's got two smaller cameras that are looking off the mirrors that point down the sides of the truck, kind of not backward, I just pointed backward, but it's by the front wheels. So if you're turning, you can see exactly where your wheels are, which is really nice. Now this doesn't seem to have a hill descent mode. If it does, I'm just wrong about it. But in any case, the regen is turned all the way up. So this is, I'm truly one pedal driving this down this fairly steep hill here. And I've got the ground clearance in its high mode, which is, I think it says 14 inches. What does it say? 13.1 inches. I can go higher if I want to, but I don't really have a desire. And David recommended I leave it where it is to get a little extra wheel travel. But in general, this is really impressive. I mean, we put this through some pretty difficult little moments here. And, you know, I don't have the most experience, so I'm not claiming to be the world's best off-roader, but this is making really easy work of this trail ultimately. Obviously, all-terrain tires would make it even easier. I'm being pretty careful because we're, you know, being careful of the sidewalls of these versus my two friends that have all-terrains on their vehicles. But it's all working pretty well, and this is really wild. All right, this is the steepest part. I'm a little nervous about this one. We don't have as good a visibility, although I'm watching Noah, so if he can do it, I can do it. That's about how we did this coming up. And I do have my cameras, which are helpful as well. I'm still using the brake pedal to modulate a little bit here, just because the regen will not do quite everything I want. But this is just walking down. This is nuts. And this is not me acting like this is steep. It's just, we're pointed. This feels like 30 degrees downhill. I couldn't tell you if it is, but that's what it feels like. You hear it dragging a wheel a little bit just to slow us down. Manage traction. Holy cow. I mean, cake. Total cake. That was so easy. That was wild. And now we've got a fairly large uphill here just to go straight up. Again, nice and easy throttle. I'm looking straight at the screen because I have no visibility. There's the sky. Here we go. Here's Noah. Hi. Girly, we did it.
We did it.
Look at us go. You had to do a gear tunnel shot. That is it for this review of the 2023 Rivian R1T. We will be towing with one of these as soon as we can get one in the DC metro area, so stay tuned for that because these are rated to pull 11,000 pounds. In the meantime, if you'd like to follow along, we can be found on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Out Motorsports. If you'd like to join an ever-growing community of LGBT automotive enthusiasts and motorsports competitors, head over to outmotorsports.com. We've got a whole online community. We're hosting events in person, on the racetrack, and on the street. We would love to have you join for any and all of that. Till next time, please stay safe, be well, and we'll see you again soon. Now if you get out of this.
So you can relive the memory.
Stuck landing.